Welcome to the Author's Corner podcast, sponsored by Stevens Book Agency and Grace Visionary Authors Guild. I am your host, Melinda Stevens, and it is always a joy for me to introduce to you, our listening and viewing audience, new authors. Joining me today is author Connie Malveaux Chavis. Welcome to the Author's Corners broadcast. We are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
It is always a joy, as I said, to introduce new authors to our viewing audience. And Ms. Connie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Are you a native of Lake Charles?
I am. Lake Charles is home for me. My parents, my siblings went to school here. I've been married for 31 years. We have 3 children. We have 6 grandchildren. This is the season where God has anointed me to pastor a church and become an author, and I am embracing it all.
Wonderful. As I said, it's a joy to have you with us today. When did you desire, or what motivated you to become an author?
You know, I really didn't have initial motivation. A cousin of mine dropped it in my spirit. She said that the Lord told her to tell me that I would be writing. I thought that was far past, but I jumped on it by faith, and God is unfolding it.
Now, do you have a favorite book that you like to read, favorite books that you like to read?
I like inspiration. I like personal development. I like to know how to get from here to there when you just don't seem to have all of the answers internally. So I like to read books like that.
Okay. So now what is part of your writing process? How do you begin your writing?
It comes from my daily routine. Just moving throughout my daily routine, my work routine, my house routine, and God has just opened up a moment, and it just becomes something that I start thinking more about. I'll get to a pen and paper, and I'll just write that thought down, and as I'm writing, it's building, and then God will just add revelation. He'll add scriptures, and then we have a chapter.
Very good. Okay. So now, what advice would you give to a young person or any person who has a desire to write but not sure how to begin the process?
I think all of us have a story to tell. I think all of us can write and share and leave a legacy of your experience in life that can help the next generation. And I would suggest that write a word down. It could be any word. It could be trust, hope, fair, sky, and any word. And a word will lead to a sentence, and a sentence will lead to a paragraph, and before you know it, you got a chapter.
Okay. Now, do you journal? Is journaling maybe a part of your daily life experiences?
I do. I would like to do a lot of written journal, but sometimes I'm just not close enough. So I use a lot of mental notes. I might talk in my phone, my recorder, but yeah, journaling is something that is really, I found to be a plus.
Well, it's very good. Okay. Now, as you're writing, what are some of the challenges or unexpected challenges that have occurred?
Just feeling like sometimes that this may not be a full chapter. This not be enough information to make it to my point. So that can, sometimes feel a little scary, a little setback, but I've learned to just wait till God finished developing that thought. I wait for him to come back and reveal more. So I don't rush the process. So I just wait for God to just add more, and then I'm like, okay, now I see an unveiling.
Okay, great. So a lot of your personal experiences then has gone into writing and publishing your books.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
let's talk about a little bit about your books. Let's start with the one that caught my attention, and it's called A Positive Mindset. How did this book come about?
I discovered that, when we are at our low points, our down points in life, sometimes you just don't know how to cross over. But I think God has given our thinking ability. I think he's given our ability to think. He says to think on those things that are lovely and just and honest and of a good report. And when we start thinking, we can think ourselves out of that moment. We can think. So a positive mindset is just having the discipline to be courageous enough to say, I'm going to think good. I'm going to think positive. I'm going to think godly. And then you're finally finding things attracted to you that would empower you, glory to God, to cross over that moment of grief or sadness or depression.
Okay. Now, one of the chapters that caught my attention is We All Have Issues. What is that chapter about?
Issues is something the word issue was the bigger catch for me, because when I read about the woman in the Bible who had an issue, and she had it for a very long time, and at some point she discovered this is enough of this issue, and so she took action. We all have issues, and sometimes we don't take enough action. We live with the issue because we think the issue makes us normal and acceptable, but there are times there are issues. There are issues you no longer have to accept.
Okay. Now tell us about, there's another chapter in here that says everything will be okay.
Everything will be okay. Everything will be okay. This is something we have to implement in our life, in our prayer time, in our thinking time, and just in our routine. You have to constantly remind everything about this temple. Everything is going to be okay. God put you here for things to be okay. If you keep that relationship with him, you keep that time with him, he is going to give you resources, and he's going to give you friendships, and he's going to give you connections to remind you it's okay.
It's okay.
It's going to be okay.
All right. And then another chapter in this book called Positive Mindset. Waiting is a classroom.
Lord,
tell me about that.
Waiting, oh my goodness. Waiting can be so tiresome, and it really, it works on our patience. But waiting is very, very, God waited on us. Surely we can wait on God. And I discovered that when I am in a process of waiting, we have to wait at the stop sign, the red light, the bank line, the grocery line, the school line. There's always a wait somewhere, the doctor's office. But there's much you can do during your wait. You can glean from people, and you can get wisdom, and you can develop connections and friendships. And I notice when I'm in a waiting, I start talking to people. How you doing? Introducing myself. Find out that we have things in common. So you can use that time to learn more about your community, your people, even yourself. Waiting is a classroom.
Very good. I love that. Okay. Let's just go down the line here. This book is entitled Already Handled. Tell me a little bit about that book, Already Handled.
That one is coming to be my favorite, I believe, because what happened was that developed this for me. I was in the grocery store. I was checking out as normal, nothing abnormal, nothing feeling, just checking out my groceries. I scanned the last item, put it in the bag, and then I reached in my purse to get my bank card. And when I came back to the register, the screen started just kind of glitching and flipping, and then it produced a receipt. It produced a receipt, and it says, "Thank you for your purchase." I was so stunned. I was so shocked, and I was even scared. I called the cashiers over, and I'm like, I'm not sure what's happening. I said, they're telling me that my purchase. She said, well, ma'am, you scanned your card. I said, no, I didn't get a chance to. So I'm trying to find a place where this didn't, to get sense out of something that's not making sense. Finally, the cashier said, ma'am, she said, the Lord paid for your groceries. We just gonna have to accept the Lord paid for your groceries. Says, Melinda, that was hard. It really was. So I'm going to my car, and I'm getting into the truck, and I was like, Lord, I said, I don't know. This doesn't feel like you. And the Lord had to hush me. Glory to God. He had to hush me, and he had to settle me. And he said, listen, I took care of that. He said, I took care of that. I said, he reminded that we sometimes live in such a lack till we don't recognize a miracle. And then he told me, he says, I handled that. I took care of that. And then I went through my mind and realized how many times God has handled it. It's already handled.
Love it. I love it. Okay. All right, let's talk about, I think this is Seated. Tell us a little about that one.
He's teaching me, or he's reteaching me, if that's such a word, reminding me that he gives seed to the sower. And I was in a lockdown situation financially, and I thought perhaps that God didn't give. And he reminded me he did give the seed. I didn't behave as a sower. So when I got myself together, repented for how I was handling the seed he was giving me, there's been a major turnaround. I see more happening with the seed that he's given me, because the truth be told, I was seeding into debt. I kept trying to mount myself out of debt. And he told me, he said, debt is not soil. He says, debt is not soil. So all of the funds that I have, I'm just trying to get to this perfect place where I have no debt. And there were so many things that were untouched, uncharted. There were people that could have used a seed from me. So I'm learning now to find soil that God has put his approval on.
Very good. Is there a workbook that goes along with that book?
Yes, this workbook is called the Seated Challenge. I took the Seed Challenge in June, so I call it the June Seed Challenge. But it's a workbook that'll guide you and cause you to be very interactive, hands-on, as you plant your seed throughout your life, the community, your church, and beyond.
Okay, and moving right along.
Yes, Chosen and Still Chosen. These books, they complement the positive mindset, because I have a chapter in there that tells us we're chosen. Sometimes the devil wants to make us believe we were dropped by a stork, like somebody just found us, like we were randomly put here, but we were chosen. We were handpicked by God to be here for a purpose. And so this is just a journal for writing, and this is interactive, where you can just kind of put your notes and your thoughts together and keep yourself focused and grounded, that no matter what the enemy tries to plant in your life, I'm chosen. And you can tell the enemy, look him in the eye, if you find some eyes or whatever, and tell him, say, listen, dude, I'm going to tell you here and now, I'm chosen.
That's it. Oh, I love it. Now, can we peek into your writing? Is there anything that you're working on that's coming out soon?
Yes, it is. And these two make me smile. There is a book that's titled, that the Lord gave some time ago, that your future is godly beautiful. And it's from biblical stories of different people that were in predicaments that just seemed so dark. For example, Hagar. Hagar was in a very different situation than any of us would even tolerate right now.
Right.
She had to share her husband, share her home, she had to share her house, and they didn't welcome her because they wanted to find reasons to make fun of her because she didn't have a child. And imagine how heavy that burden is to carry. She went through what she knew to go through, and that was to pray, have faith, make a vow. And as she developed her relationship with the Lord, he flipped all of that for her. He gave her what she asked. He caused her to smile. And so when you look at how she started and how she ended, we declare that her future was godly beautiful.
Okay, very good. Okay, what is the other one that you're working on?
This one is called Voices of the Flesh. This is the story around Job and how Job's faith was developed. And that was some serious testing. That was some serious testing for him to have his faith developed. And sometimes when we're being developed, we have the voices of the flesh that have come through friendship, that have come through close people to try to say, well, you must have done something. You're being punished. You're not being tested. And so the voices of the flesh will help us recognize when someone is trying to put a stereotype on you, when God is just testing you, when he's just training your trust for the season to come.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to those. Now, where can our listening audience, viewing audience, purchase your books?
You can purchase my books on Amazon.com, or you just kind of plug in my name and you can just it'll bring up the search, or you can call me. You can reach out on Facebook, Connie Malveaux Chavis, and I'll get a book delivered to you or hand delivered if you're in the local area.
Very good. Okay. Well, again, Miss Connie, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. And I would like to say that Miss Connie is also one of our new members in the Grace Visionary Authors Guild. So again, we thank you for being tuned in with us today. I would like to also say that this podcast is sponsored by Stevens Book Agency of Lake Charles. At Stevens Book Agency, if you have a desire to write a book, we can help you to edit your book, get your book published, and you too can become an author like Ms. Connie. Also, Grace Visionary Authors Guild is a group of authors who have come together to encourage each other and to promote and inspire our authors to continue to write inspiring books and stories that can be beneficial to our readers. So again, my name is Melinda Reed Stevens. I am so happy that you tuned in today for the Authors Corners podcast. Thank you so very much. Have a great day.
God bless.